chopper.
Every vehicle you can pass.
Hey, British GQ, we're Jungle, and this is how we made Keep Moving.
I think the idea for Keep Moving came about just from jamming and having fun and messing around. You know, we were in the studio and we kind of came up with this sort of lick on the piano. Basically, our studio piano, which we've had for years, I think we just put it through an RE501 just to give it that sort of spring reverb sound, which we love so much. And it sort of starts to get this kind of feeling, and that went with this vocal riff,
the vocal
you know.
riff.
Which is just like this sort of female vocal just going with the riff, the kind of hook. And I think we had that for a while, and it was sort of embedded in this sort of kind of housey, very slow tempo, sort of ethereal jam. You know, we just had it for so long, and we kept kind of eking it out, and eventually we did like a 20-minute version, 30-minute version, and did so many different styles of it, and we started to find just to kind of ping onto this one which had this just slightly more disco edge. Will we ever publish the 25-minute edit?
Don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I think it might be kind of cool to put it out. It's definitely a sonic adventure, but to be honest with you, it's the same hook again and again.
Thing,
so
it
drives you mad. It's just the beat that changes and the harmony, but you know, maybe one day we'll see.
When you've got the hook and you've got like the lyric and that makes sense to you, then you know that you're on something, right? And then it is just about executing it and make it as understandable for your audience and your listeners as possible.
When you're in that moment, it doesn't really matter what you're putting down as long as you're tracking it up. So, you know, for us, there's the piano with the mellotron sort of part on the top, and we always love doing these bendy sort of synth sounds. That just sits under the track, which I don't know.
It's a bit slight, it's a bit like, yeah, like a bit horror movie in a way.
Well, most people won't really hear that, but when you put it in the context, it gives you that kind of like woozy feeling. Makes it feel a little bit unsafe, you know, and I think that's something in the music that just gives it a bit of danger.
I think what we love trying to do the most in our music is like change it every 8 bars, change it every 4 bars, try and keep people, essentially keep ourselves interested when we're making it, because if we're not constantly like hearing something new or feeling something shifting ever so subtly underneath what's going on, like, then it just kind of gets a bit one-dimensional for us, I guess.
And this was made up, this synth part of this paraphonic again, and a Prophet A, and a mellotron, which is doing this flute part. So you hear them all over the Beatles tracks, and they just sound amazing. One of the last parts to talk about, I suppose, is the vocals. We wanted it to just bite on this new level. So we got a load of our friends and people who we've played music with for years, cousins, anyone we knew who could make who could make a sound out of their mouth. You know, like.
It has this amazing energy, right? When you have that many voices on a track, I think what we've always striven for is for the messages in our songs to feel like they're delivered from like a group of people with the same intention rather than just one person, right? And this is like the ultimate sort of like incarnation of that, is getting a choir together. Because we wanted to try experimenting with like harmony, because I think you've got the great hook, but then it's about the harmony that sits underneath that, and that's what gives it the weight and the real like emotional punch when you need it to. Trying to make it feel different and new every time. We went into Paul Epworth's studio in North London, and they've got some amazing old microphones there. So one of the mics we used is a mic from the 50s, like an old radio mic. And the engineer just like set it up in the middle of the room, and it's got so much character. It's like slightly distorted, it's warm, it's crunchy, but it's not like harsh to your ears. And it really does sound like you've just like lifted a sample from a Motown record. Like, it's amazing what equipment can do to like change what you're doing.
We started out in a bedroom, almost 7, 8 years ago now, and we were just sort of hanging out, making beats and playing PlayStation and just chilling. And things have changed quite a lot since then. You know, now we have the ability to go into studios and work with amazing people and put strings on things and execute our ideas in a way that, you know, a record made in a bedroom, almost made in a shoebox with just a basic interface and a mic. You know, it's amazing, and we're so lucky to be able to do that.
We've always had these quite grand visions for our tracks and how they want to sound in our heads, but we've never really had like the technical capability to like achieve that, or the confidence to like go into a big studio with a big string ensemble and and like have the confidence and belief in your ideas to go to, like, you know, come on, let's like play on this. And it's quite like a big thing putting a session like that together. GTA 5 was like quite an important game, just like the scale of it. You could just like immerse yourself in a whole world, and that essentially was quite inspiring to us, right? And I think what we've always tried to do is create those immersive experiences, audio and visually, do you know what I mean? That we ourselves can get lost in and escape into. And
we'd turn the sound off and almost make the music to come out of those radio stations in GTA, and then we'd kind of pause and have a game of FIFA, you know. So, and they always had amazing, you know, soundtracks. I remember like Kasabian, and when you kind of get put into that game, you're like, secretly you're like, yes, they're amazing, you know. The title of our record, Loving in Stereo, it's actually the first song we ever wrote together when we were about 15 years old. We kind of were thinking about our album name this time round, and in some way I think we wanted it to kind of have this sort of cyclical nature, like we went back to the beginning. And for us it's really personal, you know, it's from our past, and it kind of makes us feel like we've sort of completed some sort of journey. It's almost like this series, you know, where we had these characters and this cast which you got to know over the course of all the songs, and we made a video for every track on the album. And
there's a certain energy that comes with like having a time limit on something, do you know what I mean? Suddenly we were in a studio like on the clock, and it was like, okay, we've got to get in there and make it happen and make it work. And the same energy that we put into our videos this time around as well, it's like, let's try and make 14 in 5 days, because the energy of doing that will give us so many incredible moments on camera that you just can't write, you can't storyboard that sort of stuff.
You never really know which song is going to be the song that people connect with the most, and to have a visual for each one is a really special thing. So we worked with this amazing cast of dancers who have got so much personality and so much kind of energy, and to watch that on camera is just so infectious. I think if we had a message to anybody who was, you know, trying to make it and make music, is ultimately don't overthink it, and you know, trust in your own gut instinct, because nobody can tell you what to do or how to make your music apart from yourself. So trust the gut. We're going to shut the laptop and say thank you very much for coming. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. We're Jungle. Thanks for tuning in.